Guys, Bitcoin is breaking down today. We are down actually over 2.75%, almost 3% on the daily. And yes, we got rejected at this major line of previous support, which is of course at about $65,000. We can see previously when we formed this bear flag pattern, we did get rejected, right? So we got supported right here, and now the same level is acting as resistance. Of course, we got down, but the thing to note, while we did break out of our falling wedge pattern, which is of course bullish, we broke it to the upside, we are still currently creating a higher low structure. So on the shorter time frame, it is still a bullish trend essentially. And if I zoom in a bit, we can see the levels that we've been trading in. Basically, we went up to this level, $64.7 thousand, which we just discussed, about $64.7 to $65,000, which I just showed you guys right here, which is the yellow, the orange line. And we can see right now we are coming back to this crucial level of previous support and resistance at about $62,000. Now, I hope that we can stay above this level, which then essentially, of course, confirms the uptrend, and the uptrend continues with a higher low structure, and I think we can go higher. Can we go lower? Yes, of course, anything can happen. The next level, if we go lower, could be here at like 60,700, but in order for us to continue to move to the upside, I hope that we stay above this level and find some good support here going further higher. Of course, today Bitcoin, but also the traditional markets have gone down quite a bit. The US is in war with Iran again. The US markets are opening to a war, and we can see the S&P 500 going down, the Nasdaq going down, the Russell 2000 index all going down on pre-open today. And if we can basically see what the Trump, previously he said that a $2 million toll for Hormuz is unacceptable, which is basically what Iran was doing. And now he is suggesting that they will be taking 20% of all the value of oil as a tax. Basically, a 20% rate would cost around $30 million per tanker, given that an average tanker will take $150 million. And of course, as a result of the Strait of Hormuz closing again, we can see oil prices have gone up again. Previously, they were at like over $110, back down, and now we are back up again. If you take the candlesticks, we can see oil prices up over 10% today. And just previously, when I was preparing my video, it was up 9%. So it went up another 1% in the last half hour or so. It was not looking good at all. We can see right now 34 ships are actually in transit in the strait. This is very much less. It's only 35% less of the normal. Normally there's about 60 ships in transit at this time. We have 300 vessels right now who are waiting to transit. And of course, the overall traffic in the strait is very much down. We have now 135 days since the Strait of Hormuz has been closed since February 28th of this year. And I want to quickly highlight again that usually July is very bullish for Bitcoin, right? Not only right now, but historically, we've only had 4 negative months, bearish months from July. Average return 7.5%, especially in bear market years. 2022 bear market year, very positive July. And then August and September are historically very negative. And we can see here August, September, like September on average down 3%. And I believe that we can have negative August and September months again. If you look at Bitcoin here, compared to the last cycle, Fibonacci lines drawn on top, basically this is July last year, right? July to August last year. And this is right now, July to August. So we are very much towards the end of the bear market. Look, we know that the bear market usually lasts about a year, from the top to the bottom, from the top of the bull market to the bottom of the bear market, 1 year. And right now we are of course in the last 2 months of this bear market. So this is a very important time. So what I think can happen, look, last time we were almost bottomed out. We didn't actually have too much of a flush out coming here at the last few times. Yes, we had one more big flush out coming here at the end, which was right here. And there was 22% in a week. I mean, that's a massive flush out. And I think something similar could be happening, whereby we're going up here in July, which I said, right? July, we go up, we almost retested this 21 weekly moving average line, which is the orange line. And we could go closer to that line, which sits currently about $69,500. Yesterday, it was about $69,800. Of course, every day this average line goes down. We had a new week starting now on Monday with that, the moving average went down. Of course, as price goes down, the average price goes down also. So I think we're gonna approach this level at like $69,000 most likely. Maybe not touch it, but get closer to it, and then have that move to the downside. If I put the logarithmic chart on here, we can basically see that big flush out that we had in November, right? So basically towards the very end of that last bear market, and I think a similar thing could be happening, which will most likely bring us here in that golden pocket and potentially even bring us to the 0.786 level, which actually last cycle we did bottom out on at the 0.786 level. But there's a fact which suggests that we're actually not at the bottom yet, and the bottom is not yet in, because historically we always bottom out below the realized price for Bitcoin, and we can see this right here. Historically, we always find a bottom below the realized price here, the orange price line on the chart. And right now, the realized price, of course, approximately $52,600. So also suggesting that we probably will continue to move down. On top of that, I already said we're gonna go down most likely for 365 days until October. So that's another reason why I think we continue the move to the downside. But that is, of course, on a larger time frame, right? Over the next 2 to 3 months, we will continue the move on the downside and then eventually go back up. So, but let's look again quickly at Bitcoin here on a shorter time frame. We actually have basically an inverse head and shoulders pattern here forming. This is the first shoulder, then we have the head, which is lower, and then we have somewhat here the second shoulder. And if we draw a trend line, I know it's not perfect, but essentially I'm just trying to show you guys this inverse head and shoulders pattern, which we draw from the neckline to the bottom of the head. And then at the breakout point, this would bring us to potentially about $71,000 to $72,000 if we move to the upside. Now, I do think we can continue the move to the upside slightly. Also potentially going to this level right here, the November 2021 all-time high, which is this dotted line. Look, this dotted line, $69,000, November 2021 all-time high, could be where we're going to before we eventually break to the downside. Keep in mind, July is usually very bullish for Bitcoin. And just to highlight that July is very bullish, not only on the monthly returns, which I just showed you guys, but also on the charts. We can see here, last bear market, July, we went up, created that top here, end of July, beginning of August, and then moved down, big flush out and bottom of the bear market. And also the cycle, last cycle, July, we went up, had the top somewhere end of July and August, moved down, big flush out, and the bottom of the bear market. And I think a similar pattern could be happening this time around as well. Basically going here, of course, July, we started July already strong. Yes, of course, along the way we go down, but July up, beginning of August, we start pulling back down, and then big flush out coming, and then find that bottom somewhere and continue the move to the upside. That's essentially what I think could be happening for Bitcoin. And we can see here, Bitcoin also is forming this massive falling wedge pattern, which we actually forming here on the daily structure. Of course, you can see the falling wedge pattern which we broke out from. It's also there on the weekly time frame, and it's of course a bullish pattern, right? We break out to the upside eventually somewhere here at the end of the bear market, end of Q4, somewhere in Q4 in October approximately, we'll break out. I think we can go to either like the low 50s or potentially the low 40s for Bitcoin. And finally, keep in mind, guys, at the bottom of the bear market, we usually form a bullish divergence. So the RSI starts going up every single time, and just like we're going right now, the RSI is upward sloping, while of course price is going down. We form that bottom and then we break out following the RSI direction. Same here, RSI is going up and then price is going down towards the end of the bear market, and same thing right now, RSI is starting to go back up, while price of course is continuing to go to the downside until eventually we break out. And that's essentially what I'm waiting for. Now back on the 4-hourly, I hope, just to summarize, that we stay above this crucial level here, which is of course about $62,000. Hopefully we can stay here, create that higher low structure and continue to move to the upside. And that's where I'm going to be entering my short positions from and shorting that range from about from this high, about $67,000 to like $70,000 most likely, going down from there and then eventually breaking this level below here at like $58,000, and then closing down my short position in stages, of course, from like potentially this low until like the low 50s, and then entering a long position. And that's how I think we can make some good money this cycle. With that being said, see you tomorrow. Excited for what the next 24 hours have and hold for us. Bye.